Cagayan de Oro.
Good morning, real estate.
I'm your host, Alex Zeta.
And I am James Haliasgo. And welcome to the Home Show Unlimited.
Welcome back to another episode of the Home Show Unlimited, and for today's episode we have a special guest with us. He is none other than the COO of WE Communities Inc., Mr. Carson Choa.
Hello.
Hi, Sir Carson. Welcome to the Home Show, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, lumipad ka pa from Manila.
Yes.
For the events na scheduled this week for
I
WeECOM.
flew out last Tuesday. So I took the first flight out. I think was 4:05. I was here before 6. Then,
Kumusta naman yung flight mo? Did you have any trouble going in and out sa airport?
Surprisingly, the plane wasn't full. Siguro around less than 50%. Very, professional. I normally take PAL kasi when I travel. So very professional naman. Pre-works document should be done
prepared na
before you fly out. When we came in, they had to check kung may PCR swab test ka ba. Everything okay naman, very organized.
Basta you have the complete requirements, no problem.
Correct. Actually, funny thing here is mas strict pa si CDO if you're Manila flying into CDO. But if you're flying out from CDO back to Manila, si Manila wala siyang pake. What happens?
So Manila is not as strict na ngayon?
Wala. Actually, it's up to you if you want to have tests done once you arrive in Manila.
But going inside Cagayan, you have to have...
Yes.
But that's only if you're from Manila. From other cities,
I'm
different.
not sure for other places, but when 2 weeks prior to today, I went to Iloilo naman. I visited our other site. And they were also very professional about it. They had requirements. The requirements for Iloilo is very similar to what Cagayan actually required. So weird lang. Now, Manila, they don't care. You just fly in. You don't know what happened.
Sa Manila.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about WeECOM kasi earlier I already interviewed your brother regarding all the technicalities about how your houses were designed and yung design, aside sa design process, also yung building process. So let us get to know more about WE Communities Inc. because it's their first project here in Cagayan de Oro, and some agents or brokers may not be familiar with it yet since your first project pa in Intalia Estate. So who is WeECOM? How did it start? How did you join the company?
Yeah, so WeECOM started way back in 2008. Not naman way back kasi it's like ilan lang, 13 years pa lang. 2010 was our first project. We turned over our first project. But it started 2008. It was started by our president and CEO, si Mr. Cesar Wee Jr. So, history. So, Cesar and I met 2002, 2003. So, he was entering into Pro Friends that time.
Yung partner niyo for this project,
yes,
right?
Who was also our partner for this project. So, si Uncle Jerry, who owns Pro Friends, is my uncle, my dad's brother. So, I was there in Pro Friends as a trainee. Cesar also came into Pro Friends as a trainee. So, both of us were given projects to handle.
So, how was your time with Pro Friends? Did you find it hard, yung real estate industry? What are your challenges?
So, parang nasa in-between ako eh. Parang ako yung nasa generation, I guess, na whatever your parents wanted you to do in a way is what you think you want to do also. Right? Which is different from the current generation, di ba? May sarili silang ito gusto nila, itong gusto niya. Which minsan, your parents, in a way, don't have a say anymore. Alam mo yan? And also being siguro eldest among the
Choa brothers.
The Choa brothers. In a way,
did you feel pressured to really be in this industry?
not naman pressured, but I felt that I had to do the business, right? So, si Carter is an architect, but when I was in high school, I really wanted to be an architect.
Okay.
So,
What was your
business course ako. Because my dad said,
kailangan business
panganay ka, dapat business ka, kailangan maging negosyante ka. But my aspiration then was really to be an architect because I grew up, I love reading comic books, I like drawing, ganyan. But again, so when that happened, okay lang. Kasi yung perspective ko always is in whatever I do. Kasi hindi naman pwede like, magagalit ba sa akin yung millennials? I don't know. Kasi some millennials kasi would say na, if I am not doing the thing that I love, it's pointless. Parang yun yung point of argument nila parati.
Yeah.
Kung hindi ko to gusto, walang point eh. But for me, growing up, always yung idea ko is because I'm put in a position, whatever work it is, as long as whoever I'm working with or working for sees value in it, then at the same time, I'm given some room to make decisions so that you feel naman whatever you do has an impact. Happy na ako dun. So, parang kaya parati
as long as you can add value.
Yes, as long as I can add value.
But what about your strengths? Kasi, di ba, they say play with your strengths para you can really do well whatever industry you're in.
I guess, ano ba strength ko? Ang main strength ko is really more on, I guess, it's really, hindi naman nakakaisap ko, leader kasi ako, hindi pangit pakinggan eh. Parang it's more of really compartmentalizing things, right? In a way that, kasi minsan,
parang strategist?
To a certain degree, yes, but I really am more inclined minsan to operations. So, minsan kasi if you...
Sa back-end.
Back-end is one, and also on the strategic end, it's really like...
like the big picture.
Pwede, but ang nangyari kasi normally sa office is once you're too involved in what you do, marami sa mga tao namin can't see beyond what they have to finish, right? So, minsan, the solution is right there in their faces, but they can't see it kasi they're too close eh.
Yeah.
So, I guess yung main work ko lately is really, when I meet with groups, it's really to assess what's the general picture, ano ba yung main problems, how do we dissect it, and how do we actually find the solution. Parang...
okay. Parang kang facilitator.
Hindi.
In a way.
In a way, parang ganyan. Kasi before, I used to handle specific projects rin ako na mismo eh. So, but now, ang role ko is no longer handling a specific project. It's more of training the current roster of project directors and area heads that the company has to become successful PDs in their own right. So Carter is an area head for CDO. My two other brothers are area heads in Davao and Iloilo. And under the area head, we have project directors. And all of them,
so ikaw yung
I would train them on how to be effective area heads and PDs. So that's my role now in the company. So, parang naging teacher na ba ako? Parang ganyan. I think
parang
now
ikaw naging mentor nila.
Yes, parang yun nga. I was mentored by my Uncle Jerry and by my dad.
So,
Ngayon
how many
naman,
years
baliktad.
did you work at ProFriends?
For ProFriends, siguro it was a good 5 to 6 years.
5 to 6 years. Okay.
And during that time, I handled and finished 1, 2, 3, around 4 projects with
4
ProFriends.
projects from start to finish.
From start to finish.
How long does that usually take?
It depends on the size of the project. But then when I was working with ProFriends then, the company isn't as big as it is right now.
So ilang hectares?
So we were doing around 2 to 3 hectares.
2 to 3. So that's around 200 units?
Yeah, 2 to 300 units. These projects would take you maybe 3 years max to finish, right? And
to sell out.
And to sell out. To sell, build, and turn over.
Everything na.
Right? And
2 to 3.
Smaller pockets, but you have to do things paulit-ulit kasi rather than like doing 10 hectares, you do the permitting once.
Yeah.
But if you do 5 2-hectare projects na 10 hectares then, you have to do everything paulit-ulit.
Yeah.
Right? But
like parang same work.
Same work, paulit-ulit. So, yun lang, yung sa ProFriends, ang really learning doon was, since they weren't that big then, I got to touch on all aspects of the business, whether it's documentation, credit and collection, talking
usually
to brokers.
for developers, where do you get the funding for your projects?
Okay, so it's a mix. So
Especially, di ba, WEECOM is not
correct.
yet a publicly listed company.
Yes. So, ang amin is dalawa siya. Two main sources of funding. One is our own capital infusion. Then the second one is we have very good relationships with banks. So we normally get a developmental loan to do a project. So those are the two main sources when we look for funding in projects. Yeah.
So with regards to WEECOM, how many projects have you already finished?
Okay, so for WEECOM, ang naging
sa past 10 years? No,
past
10 years or so?
13 years.
13 years
Okay,
na.
so in Manila, home base kasi namin, parang kumbaga birthplace of WEECOM is San Juan eh. So that's where our first project is. In San Juan alone, we have 4 projects. Then we are targeting to launch another San Juan project by next year. Okay.
So you really started in Manila?
In Manila, in vertical developments.
Because Sir Cesar is based there.
Actually, we're all based in Manila.
Okay.
Then Cesar,
taga Manila talaga kayo.
Talaga Manila talaga kami.
So naging ano lang.
Yeah. So then after San Juan, we went to Quezon City. So we've completed 2 projects in Quezon City, and we're doing a third one now in Commonwealth, Quezon City. So that's 4 in San Juan, 3 in Quezon City. That's a total of 7. Then we're doing 2 towers in Mandaluyong. So that's T1, T2. That's 9. Okay.
9 finished projects already.
Out of the 9 in Metro Manila, we have finished 4, 5, 6. So ongoing now is
madami kayong ongoing. How many
have,
projects yung pinagsasabay niyo ngayon?
Ang sabay namin sa Manila is 3. So we have Mandaluyong, we have Commonwealth in Quezon City, and we just started excavation for our latest San Juan project. So then in 2016...
So 4 projects, including this one?
No, 3 just in Manila. Then in 2016, we went out to the regions. In Davao, we're doing ongoing simultaneous 2 phases. And in Iloilo, we're doing 2 phases also simultaneously. And this is our first in CDO naman. So we're doing the first phase. So total in terms of regional horizontal developments, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phases ongoing. So in terms of
that's a lot, ha?
Buong company, it's 3 vertical and 5 phases.
How are you able to launch like multiple projects na sabay-sabay?
Di kami natutulog. So
You're so
sila Carter, di
aggressive.
sila natutulog. But
You're
then,
so aggressive.
In terms of, it's, I don't know if it's a proper term, tawag namin dyan, we're, conservatively aggressive. Ibig sabihin, as long as we know the cards that we have, we know that the risks that we're doing is something that we can actually pull off. We would normally tend to proceed with the project, right? So, hindi naman kami like guns blazing. We don't know what will happen. Papasok kami in a certain market. So, normally, we know what we're doing. And when we go in, we're fairly sure that we'll be relatively successful in that space, no? So, ang key success namin ngayon in terms of how we're able to do simultaneous projects is really the people, right? So, as I mentioned earlier, we try to train our next level of leaders in the company.
And I noticed most of the leaders are young sa WEECOM.
Yes. Cesar and I are the senior citizens of the...
Senior citizens
yeah,
talaga.
So Cesar's 45.
But that's still very young.
45. I'm 42. So kami na yung pinaka matanda. And the people in our office normally skew
young
in...
company filled with young people.
Yeah, 35 to mid-20s. Yan yung age range namin. So, masaya yung ganong environment We're very informal. We're very family-oriented. Parang when we go out, normally, kwentuhan lang. We don't talk business unless we're in the office. But once we're outside the workspace, magkakaibigan lang kami. We talk about
parang chill lang.
Basketball. We talk about whatever interests. Like, we go with our staff biking. Actually, I'm planning a mountain hike soon with our staff. Parang we want to be with each other in a way. So, feeling ko that's critical in terms of how you expand the business, right? So, you should have a good set of second leaders and
Leaders talaga.
Yes, and the people under those leaders should love the company also. So, kaya...
So, madugo ba yung hiring process niyo? Like, are you very careful with regards to letting people in the company? Kasi you already have a culture that you want to
Okay, before
preserve.
we weren't picky. Okay, so kasi syempre we were a small company and siguro 80 years ago, financially, hindi pa naman sobrang daming, I mean, we're not as, hindi naman stable. We're stable, but we couldn't pay the best people, right? So, blessing in disguise siya kasi we were able to get hungry people into the company who wanted to learn also. So, marami kaming department heads, let's say, ng backroom namin, they started as staff eh. And when new people come in, they're also very eager to teach kasi yung opportunity na nabigay sa kanila before, they want to repay it, to pay it forward. Then, as we grow bigger, yun yung opportunity namin to get better people. Like, best catch namin last year, si Francine. I think you interviewed her, so she joined our company. Right? One of our best catches yan, si Francine. But, in all honesty, 5 years ago, we couldn't afford a Francine. Right? And I always ask Francine, kamusta, how's working with us? And I don't know kung sinasagot lang niya ako dahil syempre she won't say the truth.
Sige, I'll ask her.
Yeah.
I won't tell you if it's bad.
So, yung parati, I would, happy naman ako sa answer niya. Parang, nakikita niya yung passion, right? And every project that we try to do should be unique. It should be specific to the market that we want to serve. Kasi, Carter can't 100% love Intalio if we tell him, oh Carter, gumawa ka ng project dito pero ito yung mga hindi mo na pwede gawin. Right? So pag pumasok siya dito, it's actually a blank canvas. Can we do a decent or a proper market scan? Who do we really want to tap?
So you do your research first before you do anything.
Correct. Before the pandemic,
research muna.
I think 2019, Carter was here for a while. And he had a team here and they really did an extensive research. And you talk to the people who know best, right? So we talked to the brokers. We pretended to be buyers and visited the other competition in the area just to see, to in a way size them up. What are they offering? Ano yung bahay nila? Maganda pa? Ano yung packages nila? Then from there, we started forming what we can actually offer to CDO. And if you visit the houses that Carter unveiled recently, you'll see it's a different type of development. So, very proud ako. Kasi, it's WEECOM's project, but ultimately, it's Carter's project. So, nakikita mo dapat yung you can't fake it eh.
Stat ng architect.
It's not actually just purely on an architectural standpoint, but yung care ba, parang baby mo yan eh.
Yeah.
Right? So,
like the project itself is like your baby.
Correct. So, even if we want to, ang thrust namin nga is really we want to professionalize a lot of the things that we do, but ayaw pa rin namin alisin yung creativity. Kasi you see a lot of bigger developers, ang thrust nila really is kumbaga, it's really the numbers. Right? So, if this is the cost of the land...
But this is a very big project, it's almost 50 hectares.
It's 50 hectares. Carter has a lot of things planned for this development.
Yeah. So, the other phases, because currently you just launched phase 1.
Correct.
So, the other phases will have the same model units?
No. What will happen is, phase 1, since we've done our research, this we feel is what the market wants. Then, as we start selling the inventories, we will know what else the market would need, right?
Pwede na sa phase 2 iba naman yung
yes,
model.
Correct.
Will you be selling lot only?
Lots only, most probably not. Because it's a different... it won't fit dun sa partnership namin sa ProFriends. Right? So, see, when we entered the joint venture with ProFriends and with Magnum and WEECOM, in a way, we agreed in terms of how we want to develop it. So, it will be a house and lot development, a residential one. We're thinking on the latter phases, meron kaming iniisip na different concept. But that's something that we can talk about maybe a few years down the road. But
Sige.
exciting project to kasi when Carter did the research, there are several major thoroughfares or diversion roads that are opening up in this area. Blessing in disguise. 5 years ago, we visited this place. Si Sir Roger, who's our partner from Magnum, wasn't really that confident 5 years ago.
Because of the location.
Location, parang sabi niya.
Tapos
parang,
kulang pa ng access roads.
correct. It's not ready, etc. And kaya nga, yesterday I said, it's always in God's time, di ba? 5 years later, ang laki ng pinagbago ng CDO. So many improvements.
Yes.
So many roads, infrastructure. Then the market expanded also.
And they're working on the drainage as well.
Correct. Actually, the drainage before we even came in,
yung project now.
ongoing na yung project. So,
even right now, it's ongoing.
Correct.
May improvement na talaga. Kasi yun talaga yung kulang ng Cagayan de Oro in some areas.
The infrastructure development.
Walang drainage. So that's why tataas talaga yung water level. But with the drainage system ongoing, it's whole CDO So at least we can be more at ease na hindi na ma-flood yung areas talaga.
That was actually one of his major concerns 5 years ago. But given all the infrastructure developments, we felt na the place is ready already. So maganda. So many things can happen in this place.
So congratulations pala on winning Best New Breakthrough Developer of the Year.
Thank you.
How do you stand out amidst all the older developers out there?
Yeah, so yun nga. So yung mantra kasi ng office namin is beyond ordinary. So I think we started carrying that way back in 2016. So not only in terms of the development that we do, it also cascades down to how we deal with our employees, how we want to have our clients experience the whole process of acquiring a home, right? Kasi minsan, binenta mo pagkatapos tapos na eh. But it doesn't stop there, right? So, kasama dyan yung
after sales.
After sales, frequently informing them na this is the status of your
yung sa
future
construction
home.
Process, it would be very helpful if merong updates for the clients, especially those who are OFWs. Like,
precisely.
They don't know what's happening or if tapos na ba or if it's gonna get delayed. Kasi delays naman, it can happen.
Correct.
Pero I think okay lang for most clients as long as they're informed and updated.
One of the things that we wanted to do is eventually launch a buyer's portal. So if I'm a client, I just plug in my username and my password. So I would get an idea of, let's say, Mr. So-and-so, this is the house he bought. Then every week naman or every 2 weeks, we have billings on our construction. So from there, you will see your unit is X%, but it's connected kasi to the system that we're developing.
Mas maganda kung mas frequent.
Yeah, so ibig sabihin, every time we have a billing, it reflects your percentage of completion. Then standard din ginagawa nila Carter
engineering and finance will be connected.
Yes, then whatever payments we receive, they can get they can backtrack in terms of all the payments received. So at least the clients, lalo na OFWs, 'di ba, minsan they would remit money to their relatives and minsan hindi siya umaabot.
Yeah, that happened to like 1 or 2 clients of mine.
Precisely.
Kaya ayaw na nilang bumili sa like mag-invest in not naman na they don't want to invest, but natatakot na sila because they're not here, so they're based in other countries. And then yung merong one time they bought a house or a car tapos hindi ni-remit yung binayad nila sa relatives nila dito. So
tapos canceled yung account nila.
Na-cancel. So it would be so much better for them and more convenient din for the clients if pwede direct na sa developer. Yung PDC talaga, sana mawala na yung PDC. Parang direct na yung yung payment.
Yeah. So ang amin is, well, to tell you honestly, PDCs will be with us for quite some time because
kasi they have a hard time depositing sa local bank nila. So they have to rely on someone who's here.
Correct.
So yun doon na yung nangyayari yung discrepancy sa pera nila.
Ang issue kasi before is if you don't get informed regarding the payment that you've done, so malalaman mo siya after a few months of continuous payment, right? So but then if you have this portal and you log in, you know that you remitted money yesterday and you expect the payment to have been paid to the developer. Pag binuksan mo yung account mo and it says it reflects that for this month, your payment has been received, ito yung OR mo, etc. It puts you at ease, right? Then nakikita mo pa yung yung hindi lang payment status mo, but also your house construction status. So I think that's very important na
yung regular updates.
Correct. The clients don't even have to ask you for updates. They just have to log in and they would know what's happening to their account. So that's one of the projects na medyo big for us now. Kasi we want clients to be really
more
immersed
informed,
sa experience
and
also.
updated.
Correct.
Tapos sa after sales naman, like for example, if there's this client na they already moved in and they have some issues with the property, so they also have a process for that. Like where can they
normally when we turn over
file
units,
the issue or the concern?
When we turn over the units, we normally prescribe a warranty period. So during that time, whatever is in the warranty, kung may problema, we would fix it. Then in the event that it lapses dun sa warranty niya, we normally put up a property management division in our developments. So yun yung magiging best course of action niya. They go through the PMD and they can file a complaint. The PMD would inspect the unit, give their assessment in terms of what can be done, and may budgetary rin yan. More or less, itong item na to, ito yung cost ng sira, ito yung cost niya. Prerogative ng homeowner whether papagawa niya sa amin or they can have it fixed themselves. Ang importante is at least they know what's the cost of the problem and how much it will cost them to fix it. Parang ganun.
Yeah. At least it's taken care of. Kasi there are developers talaga na you'll have a hard time getting hold of them na after turnover.
Yes.
So once you've already signed the punch list and if ever may sira, they will have, wala na. So yung buyer, they will have to fix it themselves na kasi hindi na sila pinapansin ng developer.
Pero ito kasi yung project na to is 50 hectares and how many houses, Carter? 2,500, right? So
that's a lot of houses.
If we turn over the first 100, sobrang bad PR move for you. If you don't take care of them. Kasi we'll be here for a long time eh.
Long time pa talaga. Mga 10 years pa siguro.
Yeah, so it becomes part of your commitment to really take care of not only the new buyers that will come in, but the actual homeowners of your subdivision.
Yeah,
Kasi if they don't maintain rin the project, the first phase, it will be more difficult for you to push the succeeding phases. So critical rin to keep everything well, everyone's happy, so that yung referral pa lang alone is worth it eh. May returns na doon, di ba?
Yeah, and usually buyers, they also, if they're happy with the project, they can always get and invest in another unit as well.
Precisely. Kasi in terms of CDO, we have future plans pa. So outside of this particular project, si Sir Roger has several properties na he wants to do vertical development. So that's a natural progression. Bibili ka ng primary home mo dito. After 2-3 years, you want to look for an investment. At least our group will have an investment option for the client. Right?
Yeah. Okay. What about WEECOM as a company? What is your main goal?
Well, we normally cut it into 5-year tranches. No? So in 2016, we launched our 10 and 20, meaning we wanted to
10 billion.
Grow the company and hit 10 billion by 2020. So we were able to hit that target and actually go beyond that target.
Surpass it. Yeah.
Yes. So for this next 5 years, we wanted to quadruple that value. So we're targeting 40 and 25. And we already agreed on 4 key areas where we want to hit those targets, right? So CDO will really play a big role because 10 of the 40 will be coming from CDO. Then the other 3 areas would be, of course, Manila. Then you have Iloilo and Davao. So aside from the sales target, it's really the goal of creating better homes, better communities. Yun talaga yung goal namin eh. We've been players for a long time. We've been trained by more seasoned developers. Kumbaga, we've seen the good and the bad of how development works in all aspects. Whether it's securing the permits from the local government.
That takes so long.
And securing permits from the national agencies.
It's one of the challenges in being. What are the main challenges in being a developer?
Okay. So there are things that you can control and things that you can't control, right? So the things that you can control practically would be how you price your inventory, which would affect how you will sell it. In terms of what type of the contractors you'll get, which is related to the quality of the houses that you can deliver. So these are difficult tasks, but these are things that you can also manage. So the more difficult aspect of development are the things that you cannot actually control. So unfortunately, doon pumapasok yung
Permits.
securing the permits, securing the licenses. And if things were faster, developers will be more
aggressive.
Aggressive is one.
Also.
Develop faster, sell them cheaper also. Kasi it costs money to
wait.
To buy a property,
and then
infuse initial developments, and wait to secure your permits for
and
a
wait
year.
For years.
Yes.
Yeah, like LTS takes 2 years, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Usually.
Actually,
like 1 to 2
mahaba, correct,
1 to 2 years.
But that's
minimum
really,
is 1 year.
Correct. 1 year ang normal runway namin
that's
before.
That's the fastest.
Correct.
No, that's the
so,
fastest.
Those are the difficult parts kasi you can't control, or minsan changes in government regulations. Babaguhin nila yung VAT threshold, tapos babalikin nila. Alisin nila. So kami naman, when we plan out something and we assume na, itong product na to is catered to this market, adding another 12% is a big hit. Altogether, itong market na to can't afford it anymore. So, those are the more difficult parts. Kasi you planned everything, I think, tama lahat. Tapos biglang, yung VAT mo, meron na.
Pero at least ngayon, parang tinaasan na naman nila. So that's a good thing.
Correct.
Binalik nila sa original.
Correct. So it was 3,199,200. Then bumaba to 2.5. Then bumaba dapat siya to 2. Then
ngayon, binalik na
ulit.
sa 3.1.
Correct.
So at least, yung houses that are 3.1 and below, non-VAT na sila.
Yes. Actually, kawawa yung end user. Kasi as an individual,
papasa lang lahat
wala ka naman input-output na pwede i-balance. So, it's actually a full payment, diba, from your pocket. So, ang laki ng implication niya, not only in terms of the price, but if you're planning to borrow from the bank, if before your income was sufficient to borrow a certain loan, since it went up by 12%, all of a sudden, you don't know na how to pay for the balance. So, I mean, those things should be considered.
Kasi yung taxes, the buyers, they have to pay it outright.
Yes.
So, hindi yan maloloan, unlike the...
Maloloan siya.
Yung VAT?
Yes, it can be part, but the problem there is your income should also be higher.
Yeah. So, why Cagayan de Oro? You mentioned na you started in Manila and then you eventually branched out to Davao, Iloilo, and Bacolod. So, why did you also choose CDO as one of your areas to develop?
Okay, so...
And it's one of your biggest projects.
Correct.
Here.
Yeah, so in 2016, we decided to branch out to the regions. We felt that doing developments, horizontal developments within Metro Manila or near cities like Cavite, Laguna would be quite difficult for a developer of our size. Kasi all the major players are there already. They have already amassed properties, etc. And when we come in late in the game, the property values are so much higher. So we can't compete. So sabi namin, let's go outside, look for very progressive cities that don't rely on Metro Manila, right? Rather, it's really the municipalities near it that rely on that city. So, nag-shortlist kami. Ano yung mga cities na yan? So, you have Davao City, CDO, Iloilo, etc. So, we made a shortlist and we checked among these areas, sino meron na tayong kakilala that we trust, right? So, kasi it's a mix of the potential of the area but also the people in the area who we can work with. And the first in our list nga was
So, you really look for a partner?
We really look for a partner. Kasi, if we're from Manila, we go into this area, marami kaming hindi rin alam . So, if you're a smaller developer, some mistakes may be costly, right? So, it's okay always to share kasi you can always grow. Ang importante is you find the right partner who will support you.
And minimize the risk.
And minimize the risk.
And mistakes.
Correct.
Potential mistakes.
Roger Chu, who's our partner for this project, is one of the best persons you'll meet, right? So, first in our list talaga was CDO already. So, we flew here 5 years ago. We looked for properties talaga. Nauunahan lang kami. Si John Dorf, nabili yung gusto namin.
Yung sa Uptown.
Yes, tas ito masyadong mahal. We couldn't buy. So, eventually,
What's your price point ba for investing in a property
in
for
acquiring a
development?
property of residential na ganito, siguro it should be somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000 pesos per square for a big property na ganito. But then it's different
yung
if
budget
you do...
nga yung ibang developers is 400 to 500 per square. Depende din sa location.
But the location is medyo malayo, di ba? So, it really depends on the type of development you want to do.
Tapos, do you have a minimum size? Like, this is the...
Before, any size kinukuha namin when we were smaller. But now, for a certain scale, it should be minimum of 10.
10 hectares.
Yes. So, there. So, we went to CDO. Unfortunately, we couldn't find a property then. Tapos, we moved on to Davao. Yun, nauna pa yung Davao. We moved to Iloilo. Nagkaroon na ng development sa Iloilo.
So, nauna pa yung ibang cities.
Nauna pa yung ibang cities. But we always kept an eye in CDO kasi we wanted to go there. Then, nag-open up my opportunity with Pro Friends. So, Cesar and I met with my uncle and asked him, what's happening with your property in CDO?
So, how did that come about, yung partnership niyo with your mentor?
Yeah. So, what happened there was, I think it built in time, yung trust. Kasi they had a project in Quezon City, which is a vertical development. And Pro Friends is really good in developing horizontal developments.
So that's their strength.
Yeah, that's their strength. Pagdating sa Metro Manila vertical, syempre, I mean, for a small project of that size, they won't really invest too much manpower, right? And it took a while for them to sell off that inventory. So, isang in passing, usap ko yung uncle ko, he said, may project kami dito, can you help us push it? Kasi since your infrastructure, your people are there. So, sabi ko, sige,
yeah.
We'll take that in. And, very fortunate yun. I mean, when we started selling that inventory, almost sold out na siya.
Okay.
So,
mabilis niyo na-sell out.
Mabilis namin na-sell out siya. Then we started talking again. Sabi ko kay Uncle Jerry, do you have any other properties that you think that we can work with you? Then this is when
he mentioned
ito CDO Cagayan de Oro kasi I think Pro Friends is consolidating their operations in several areas na lang. So itong CDO is here. Why don't you check what you can do?
How long ago na nila to nabili, na-acquire ng property?
Kasi when we first visited this property 5 years ago, they already had some developments here.
Yeah, meron
right?
Like daan.
Yes, correct. So, I'm guessing
matagal
maybe
na.
10 years back, andyan na, diba? So, it was idly sitting here while all the areas in CDO are improving, including this area. Sayang naman. So, nag-usap yung uncle ko, tapos we went back to CDO. Nag-usap ulit kami Sir Roger. Sabi ko, Sir Roger, baka pwedeng mag-start ulit tayo. And we revisited the place. Kasi at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that Sir Roger was also on board na he felt confident na if we do this development, it's something it will sell. Kasi nga, before when he went here 5 years back, parang sabi niya, parang hindi pa to handa. So,
he wasn't sure.
He wasn't sure. But when we went back here a year and a half ago, he said, ganda na yung lugar.
Okay
right?
na.
Tapos,
may approval na sa taga-CDO na partner.
Yes, correct. Precisely. Kasi if someone from CDO is not sold in the area, then it's pointless.
Yeah.
It's just, parang ang perspective is someone from the outside telling you from CDO na hindi, maganda tong lugar. Alam mo namang hindi, di ba? So at least when he said na maganda na yung lugar, sabi na, sige, we discussed, we assigned Carter here. They started doing the studies, and when we started showing the initial pegs of the development, maganda yung response. Sabi namin, I think we may have a good one here. And fast forward
to now
plus the pandemic, I mean, maganda.
How did you navigate the pandemic? Kumusta si Weecomm in the midst of the pandemic?
Yeah, we're lucky that our organization's very lean, right? Kasi ang naging maraming problema ng bigger companies was when their revenues went down, they looked for ways to also bring down their costs.
Yes.
And since our organization is very lean,
so okay lang kayo?
Okay kami. So we didn't really, baliktad nga we didn't retrench. We actually added.
Hired more people.
Kasi it was the time that there were a lot of good people na who were also uncertain about their positions in their current company.
The other companies.
So medyo blessing in disguise. We added a lot of good people during the pandemic. And during the pandemic, ang naging focus namin was last year, we really decided not to launch anything. Kasi nga sa amin, okay, let's play it safe, let's not launch anything. But we didn't sit idly by, no? So what we did was, let's start focusing on improving our processes. Let's do policy documentation. Let's firm up the JDs. Let's firm up yung mga deliverables ng tao. So that when we expand, it's easier, right? Kasi kung hindi nangyari yung pandemic and go kami parate, you're not afforded the time to sit back and assess what are the things you need to improve on. And the pandemic allowed that for us. So, tayo. Huwag masyado tayong rat race. Isipin muna natin what are the things we need to fix so that when things go back to normal, everything's in place. So, yun yung naging focus namin last year. And
so this year, you started na launching your project?
Yes. So, we started, we launched the South Prime Flats in Iloilo. So, which is our mid-rise development, close to Mega World development. Then we recently unveiled the model unit of our new project that we will launch soon in Cainta. Then in Talyo naman, we're unveiling the model units, which eventually will launch it soon also. So for this year alone, we're targeting to launch 4 new projects. So last year kasi wala. But then in terms of sales, okay rin kasi the market that we serve are really the end user market. So these are the people looking for primary homes. And whether it's a pandemic year or not a pandemic year, you really need the home, right?
Yeah.
So
especially with the pandemic, like
correct.
People have started to realize even more the value of having a home.
Yes, precisely. Kasi before, marami dyan, at least the younger buyers ng market na, I don't want to get stuck with a particular investment.
Yeah.
Ako, I'll just lease here. Kung gusto ko lumipat, pwede rin dito. Parang ganun yung mindset. And yung nangyari yung pandemic, they realized na, I need to have a home. I need to have a home base. Diba? So, yung end user market namin remained strong. There was a slight dip in terms of our 2020 to 2019 performance. But for this year, I think we'll be back to our 2019 sales performance, which is a good indication that the market's on the way to recovery.
Because even with the pandemic, when the pandemic happened last year, the real estate industry has stayed very resilient.
Yes, correct.
Because there's really a shortage of housing here in the Philippines. There are only around 500 developers here, and most of them are small-scale developers, so they can only develop one project at a time.
Correct.
So there are only a handful of developers lang that can develop multiple projects at once.
Yes, tama.
That's why kulang talaga yung housing.
Yeah. So hopefully Entalia would be a good market for CDO.
Yes, okay. So is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yun lang. Thank you very much for allowing us to talk about the project, to talk about WEECOM. We really appreciate it. Kasi for a smaller company like us, it's gratifying that people are starting to take notice of yung things that we do, right? Kasi syempre, if you look at the newspaper, it's all about what's Ayala doing, what's Mega World doing. But we're also doing great things, right? Hindi lang alam ng tao.
Yeah.
So, being given this particular medium to share the vision of the company, what we want to do, what will set us apart or what makes us different is really important. So, for that, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you also for the time, for allowing us to interview you.
Yeah. Then, lastly, for people in CDO, yun nga, please check out Entalia Estates. Ano to, kumbaga, si Carter walang love life ngayon. Ito yung love life niya ngayon. So,
in-announce na.
in-announce na. So please check out the project. See what makes it different. Sabi ko kay Carter, if other developers are afraid to show you the details of their development, kami baliktad. We welcome everyone to come in. Be very critical kasi
may mga peepholes sa model unit, so you can really check yung pipes and materials used.
Yeah. Just check it out. Be very critical. I think you'll be very satisfied with what you see. Yun lang. So, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Carson.
Thank you.
And I'll see you on the next episode of the Home Show Unlimited. Bye!